Hey everyone, welcome to the Beyond Extent podcast, a podcast dedicated to a chat between two environment artists discussing everything about the industry we work in. I'm Timothy and I'm joined by William, who is a friend and fellow colleague of mine. In this episode, we talk about the big thing that is holding people back of getting from preparing their portfolio to getting to their first job in the industry, and that is applying for one. We break down the different sections of an outdated or previously used application from Ubisoft as an example. This is a really crucial step of finally making the leap of getting into the games industry, so we break down the things you need to keep in mind or can more or less ignore when looking at an application. So this should be a really interesting one for people about to get in the industry itself. So let's dive in. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Beyond Extent podcast. This is episode 15. Welcome back, Will.
Hello.
How are you doing, buddy?
Doing good. It's the weekend. Yay.
Oh yeah.
Feeling good about that.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I just had like a long break, right? I had last week Friday until this week Wednesday off. So it feels weird, man, just being in the office while working from home 2 days and then having another weekend again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to complain, though.
Yeah, isn't the best? Yeah, I've got one more week and then I've got 9 days off. 2 weekends plus the 5 days.
Ooh, damn. That's going to be good, man.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet.
Yeah, I played some games.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, it's almost my birthday as well, so I got Ghost of Tsushima. Jesus,
right?
I can't pronounce that name. But yeah, I also we played a little bit of Inside as well. Like we completed that game. I don't know if you heard about that.
Is it the game that's from the same people that did Limbo? The 2D,
Yeah.
no, not 2D, but like side scroller thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
Heard good things.
That's such an awesome game. It looks
Right.
so nice and stylistic. It looks and it feels real, but it's made with such simple shapes and simple colors, and it's very, very monotonous in the way that it's built up. But it's so effective, like the way that it lights things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing game. Like it's been a real treat to play that one from start to finish, and it also doesn't take too long. So yeah,
That's
that was an awesome game. We forgot to normally when I do that stuff, I get all into it and I take a lot of screenshots of it. It's like, ooh, this frame, but nah, I didn't do that this time.
Yeah, there's some games that just make you stop and look around and be like, oh, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So yeah, I made the big jump as well. I haven't played it yet, but I bought Red Dead Redemption. So yeah, finally. Like it was on sale as well, so I was just like, come on, just do it. It's such
How much was it?
what is it, like 45 on the PC?
I mean, it's pretty good. It's definitely worth it if you play through the whole game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
worth it.
it's those things like I don't really care about finishing a storyline that much. I just know that the open world in that game is so pretty that it's going to be worth its investment, so to say.
Yeah, but I actually that's one of the games where I would recommend finishing the story. I mean, it obviously if you don't have the time, you don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so good. It's like I really don't care about stories in games usually. I just want to have like a fun game, but that it ended up making me care about the characters quite a bit. Of course, there's some things where you're like, all right, whatever. But like the big picture of it, it was pretty cool. I felt pretty good about it when I finished it. I was really impressed that it like kind of keep me going, which oftentimes I'm like, I don't know. Okay, story, whatever. This guy does this. Yeah, sure. Who cares?
Yeah. I had the same feeling. Like it's still my favorite game ever, like Fallout 4. But
Right.
I just can't be bothered with the story, man. It's like, yeah, they took my kid, whatever. I just want to explore this world. Bye.
Yeah, that's so weird when you have something like that too, right? Like in The Witcher, when it's like, oh, I need to find this girl, but also I kind of just want to play cards. I just want to play Gwent in this fucking pub. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, it's always this weird like fake urgency.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, she's still gonna be there.
Yeah, she's gonna wait for me. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
all right.
There's a
She's not
couple of
going anywhere.
Yeah, there's a couple of games that broke that. I can't remember the names of them, but then it's like you do the typical thing of like, nah, he's still gonna be there, and then like the quest line fails because he gets killed, and it's like, oh shit, okay,
Yeah,
that's
that
new.
kind of stuff's really cool. I remember, was it GTA 4 when like the people would like react to you if you didn't call them for a while and stuff like that? I was so impressed with that
Oh yeah, yeah.
because you had like a phone and you could do yeah, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being so impressed by like, oh wait, there's like the cars can like be destroyed when you shoot at them and you can see the bullet holes and the parts flying off. What? Because like the only GTA before I had played was like Vice City, and there's just you like see sparks, but there's no actual bullet holes. It
Oh
was,
really?
maybe there is, but I just remember being so impressed by dynamic bullet holes on
Yeah,
cars. Like,
just decals being added onto a plane.
yeah, it's
No, I
the
get it,
small
man. Like,
things.
I have a trouble thinking back at like Vice City, but that's a game that I played over and over and over.
Vice City was good.
Oh,
Oh, and you
so
could in
good.
the end you had your mansion with the helicopter on the
Oh
roof.
yeah.
Ooh, shit, man, that was it.
Oh, such a good game.
Great.
But we're not gonna go and deep dive into nostalgic games again.
Yes, not again, not like last week.
uh, yeah, I mean it was good, but we don't have to do it for every episode.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
there is actually the thing that we wanted to talk about last week as well,
right.
and it's about applications for the games industry. Like a lot of people in the community right now are looking for their first job into the industry.
Right.
So I think it would be good to just look at an application and just go through all the maybe not the responsibilities, but more like the stuff that people trip over. So like the relevant experience that you need to have to get into the industry and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
I have like an application open here that is no longer available. This is like I don't know, from like 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for like a junior environment artist position in for Ubisoft. So let's have a look here. So there is like, do we want to go through the responsibilities?
I guess we can just kind of go through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just send me the links again, or like the picture?
Oh yeah, sure. All right, there we go. So the first is always, or in most cases, it's just like an introduction to the company, right? But we don't have to really go through that. It can be any company that you're looking for. The job purpose: deliver with support basic artistic content for the project and ensure that the integration of the work is in line with the project's technical constraints and artistic direction. I mean, that shouldn't really be a surprise at this point. Like, even if you're new to the industry,
Yeah.
maybe if you're all the way in the beginnings and you're looking what kind of job you want to do, maybe that's like a good explanation for what you will be doing in the
Yeah, it
industry.
gives you like an overview of what you're like. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to make content, and I'm also gonna have to work in some kind of engine to integrate it, right? Like I'm gonna be taking part in the whole process. So it can give you like a pretty good view of that.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest thing here is integration of the work within technical constraints of the project. I think a lot of people don't really think about that because, I mean, if you're just working on personal work, you don't have to really think about the personal, the technical restrictions that much.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something really crazy. But if you're just making a standard environment, you don't really have to think about the technical restrictions too much. But yeah, it's still important to keep in mind because that's going to be a big part of the industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially working with different softwares that you might not know, and they have like specific ways of doing things that you will have to get used to. All that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And especially in a place like Ubisoft, if we're reading this example anyway, like you're probably gonna have technical artists to support you in that. So it's not gonna be 100% your role to do like all the profiling and go look at the map and see if it's running smooth. In most cases you have dedicated technical artists that do that job for you,
Yeah.
and they just come back with like flames going out of the back of their head and be like, "Hey, you need to clean this up. This is way too intense." All right, so let's go through the responsibilities then. Um, with guidance, assist in planning out a space with consideration of narrative and visual storytelling while documenting intentions. Oh, that's an interesting one. It feels,
Documenting intentions. Yeah.
yeah, that
Interesting
that feels really
that they added that.
specific.
Yeah. Huh.
I
Cool.
mean, yeah, I'm just gonna say it like that's not something that I do on a day-to-day basis.
Documenting intentions. I mean, I guess maybe we do it. I mean, documenting, but because usually I would say that you don't have to document your intentions because other people have the intentions and they give it to you, and so that it's documented that way, and you know what I mean, like because you're working with narrative and visual storytelling people sometimes if you have like specific roles for that. So then they will tell you what they have in mind, their intentions, and you will kind of include them in what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe it's not documenting in like a document per se, but
Yeah.
like thinking about the steps that you're gonna do and like talking about them with your direct manager or like a senior artist or like the lead artist.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense because yeah, that's definitely a thing that you're gonna need to do. It's just talking to like the people around you, get some feedback, and like if something isn't working, like go
Yeah.
like exactly here, like go through your intentions and like look, this is what I want to achieve, but like is it achieving it?
By the way, you know what I just realized?
Mm-hmm.
I applied for this job.
Oh, did you?
Yes. Yeah, I remember applying for this, and then because it ended in November 2017,
Uh-huh.
and I applied for it, and then in December 2017, I heard back from the other company I applied from. I applied to
Oh.
Elite 3D, and I moved there in January 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's so funny.
Did you ever hear back from this particular job?
I think just like a like
Like an
not an
automated
automated
thing.
email, yeah, but
Yeah.
like a yeah, thanks for applying. That
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Well, that's a really good thing to dive into too. Like when we're on this topic anyway, like the just you can't really expect like a lot of companies to send you things back,
Oh
even
yeah,
even if a lot of people try to do that because it's like a show of respect, right? Like you took your time to go through the application. I kind of would love that the hiring managers or whoever is responsible for the job description or like the application itself at least send something back. But I mean, we're talking about Ubisoft here, so they probably have like thousands and thousands of people applying. So then,
that's the
like,
thing, right? Especially with big companies, unfortunately you can't expect to get an answer every time.
yeah, exactly. And it can be demotivating. I see that within the community right now. Like if you're doing like applications on like a week to week basis and then you're getting rejected or like you don't hear
Not
anything
even.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even get rejected. It can definitely be frustrating. I would feel like
Yeah.
I was very lucky. I only like when I got my first job, I had only sent out like 3 applications to like the places that I really wanted to work in, and yeah, and one of them worked out. But then there's people that aren't that lucky, or maybe they're not in the right, they don't have as much to show yet. So they'll just apply to 30 places and get like 3 answers. That's got to be frustrating. But it's you just have to know that it's not, nothing's ever personal. Like I feel like it's a good motto to go through life with anyway, but especially about stuff like this. Nothing's personal. They're not like, oh yeah, this guy, I don't like his application, I'm not going to answer him at all. It's just this, the hiring manager, the recruiter, whoever it is, they're looking at literally hundreds of applications a day.
Yeah.
And they just have a couple minutes, and if there's nothing special enough about you, then you might not make the cut. That's the thing, right?
Yeah. And
of course, if it's about a junior, there's less of a threshold. But still, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, there's so many things at play. Like it's not only your work that you present to them, but it's also like the timing of their project. Like maybe they're not currently looking for like juniors, but it can also be that they know that they're going to be looking in a couple of months, and then they save your portfolio without sending anything back. That could be a thing too.
Yeah.
And then like after like a couple of months, you hear back and say like, hey, we know that you did this application like a couple of months ago. Sorry for not replying, but hey, we got an open position right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many factors. Like it could be from what I've seen, like it could be one artist that says like, oh, this looks interesting, and then they bring it up to their lead, and then the lead is like paying extra attention to what like the artist has to say about their portfolio, and it's like, okay, maybe we should give it a shot. Like it could be as simple as that.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to understand about this whole process. It's not a straight line. There is definitely like the ideal way that it would go, but like I said, when I think I told the story, right, how I started at Ubisoft, it was like a year before I even applied. I was just talking to a producer, and then he was like, "Oh, your parents live in Berlin. Why don't you visit the studio when you're in Berlin for the next time?" So it just and then after that, like I visited, and then like half a year later, I actually saw a job, and then it was like more of this classic application process. But it's like, that's why if you have the opportunity for something like that, like speaking to someone at a company that you want to work with, even though they might not be looking for someone, just like getting your foot in the door, obviously not in like an annoying like bothering them way, but like being like, hey, I really like to work at your company. Do you have any open like areas for this? Do you think you need this kind of person in your team? And if not, maybe you can let me know if you do. And then if you have something about you that makes you stand out at least a little bit, then they might reconsider. They might consider you in a couple months or in a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's also so important to just try, just keep trying. Like even if you see, I was going through some applications recently, and it's like you have openings for senior and then junior, and maybe they don't have a junior at that point, but then they have like an open application.
Yeah,
just give it a shot. Give the open application a shot if they don't have the specific thing that you're looking for, and maybe they're looking for it in like a week, like you said. Like maybe something is opening up at the moment, but they don't have the application ready just yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I also said that, right, I applied for a different role than I actually ended up getting.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Because the studio was like, oh, we actually found someone else for this, but we really think that you would fit there. Like, if, like, they could have just been like, oh, we found someone else, right? But because there was something about my portfolio that they liked, they were like, oh, we do have someone else to fill this role, but I think we might like this guy enough to move him over and try and get him into this thing. And yeah, so that's why your portfolio is like literally it's your treasure. You should treasure it. You should nourish it.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, 100%
For
agree,
artists,
man.
it's the most important thing. And I think that's what we're going to end up saying a lot today, because when we keep going through this and all your qualifications that you need to have, I think a lot of it can be trumped with an amazing portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
Cool.
sure. All right, so let's
you wanna
go
keep
through.
going? You want to keep going through it? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Let's go.
Cool.
So create functional assets which can be shared across a project in respect to the technical and artistic constraints. That's fairly self-explanatory.
Yep.
Track and update the process of day-to-day tasks using designated tracking tools. Yep.
Okay.
That's
I think that's it's just trying to, I think, people that like come from uni that may have not worked with, I don't know, Jira or what is it, Handsoft, Shotgun, all the software that there is.
It's basically a very advanced form of Trello. Because
Yeah,
I think a lot of
all
people
it
know
is.
Trello or any other software. It's just like, just the advanced form of that, which is it's usually integrated within the workflow, so that when somebody assigns like a Jira to you, you get an email, and then it becomes part of your day-to-day task, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. So communicate and collaborate with key stakeholders to confirm task direction and consistency of own work. Yep, that's just like asking for feedback and all that stuff.
Yeah, and learning to communicate with the rest of the team. Right?
Yeah. Which is an important one, especially in the beginning. Like we talked about this in like a previous podcast episode. I can't remember which one specifically.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 5 or 6. But yeah, it's basically asking questions and like being really open about your process. Like don't stumble through the dark by your own. Like you have like a support network. That's literally what like a studio is to you, especially in the beginning.
Yeah,
Like
when you're a junior, everyone wants to help you.
Yeah, exactly. So make use of that. Let's have a look. Ensure the technical and artistic quality of the project by collaborating with technical artists and senior artists. Yeah, that's kind of the same what was already discussed before, I feel. Implement and incorporate feedback from the art director and leads into work. Yeah, that's just like when there's probably like bigger meetings where they go over the entire body of work and then just give like bigger art direction feedback.
Yeah.
Assist with optimization and debugging to fix the issues raised by the testers. So this is where QA comes in, and they're probably the most likely to assign you Jiras and bugs for the smaller tasks.
Right. I also just want to say, if I was reading this application, I guess which I was 3 years ago, I would already see a pattern in this, right? Because all of the last 5 points have been about collaboration.
Yeah.
All of it is, okay, you need to talk to technical artists. You need to talk to lead and art directors. You need to talk to testers. All of this, you can already tell, hey, I should probably, if I want to, I should probably give an example or maybe, I don't know if an example, but you should definitely, if you're that kind of person, you should say, hey, I'm a very communicative person. I was doing this and this and this in your application, so that you can maybe show, like you can use that focus in their job offer, job opening, as like a way to find out what they really want. And in this case, it seems like they really want someone that can communicate.
Yeah.
So if you have your application, and of course you shouldn't lie and say, oh, I'm so communicative, but you should say, if you are, then you should try and put like a emphasis on that and show how, in which ways you are. That's what I would say about this.
Yeah, for sure. It's also like, thinking back, I think when I went through it the first time, there were like a lot of student projects that we did that were really focused on teamwork, but they weren't good enough to put on my portfolio. But I still mentioned them when I would speak to people doing the application, right?
Same.
So it's like
exact same.
Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, but we did do like student projects. Like the reason why they're not on my portfolio is just because I don't really want to show them off, because I don't feel like they represent like the quality that I can hit in my other work. but still, like, it shows that you can work with a team and that you made like a finished, or like you got like a finished project out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's exactly what I did, because I feel the same way about it. It's take the parts that you want to show, and remove the parts that you don't feel that good about. It's the same as with the portfolio. I know we're not talking strictly about portfolio here. It's more about all the other stuff around it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it applies to both. Like, I'm a very like, I still have stuff from 3 years ago that I used to apply for this job and my first job as well on my portfolio. Because first of all, because now I'm in. I don't want to. It's not like something I did 5 years ago and I still had it in my portfolio when I was applying. Before I had my first job, I definitely removed a lot of stuff from my portfolio that I didn't feel good about.
Yeah.
But now, like, at some point when you're in the industry, you'll just get job offers, if it's either it's an official thing or it's just a friend that asks you, hey, we have this space open at our studio, do you want to come?
Yeah. You'd be surprised how that stuff works.
It's crazy. So then what I'm saying is, then your portfolio doesn't have to be maybe as strictly for applying somewhere, because you don't really need to do that as much anymore. So I feel comfortable having stuff in there that's like 3 years old, because I'm still kind of, I remember it very fondly. This was like the first big thing that I had that people actually liked on ArtStation, right? So but I think that especially when you're still in that process where you feel like you haven't had a job yet, you just want to get a job, you just want to get in, I think then you should really think about cleaning up not only your portfolio, but also the rest of your application, and really focusing it on the stuff that you feel most confident about, and like maybe the most recent stuff you've done, if it's like the stuff that you think represents what you can do the most.
Yeah, for sure. Always show your best side, man.
Exactly.
So, going back to the list, reference game design documents to develop an understanding of the environment, objectives, atmosphere, story, and style of the project. I mean, it's like you said, like, this is outlining just working together with different silos, or like, what do you call it?
Different departments.
Yeah, different departments. That's the word. Develop an understanding of project tools and their functions. Yeah, that's self-explanatory. Developing an understanding of best practices, production pipelines, and workflows. That's something that, again, the portfolio is really going to show off. And then support the lead environment artist in any ad hoc tasks and duties. Yep.
Yeah. So again, if I'm looking at this, I think this is a great example of a job opening for a junior.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that they focused. Because probably somebody who will apply as a junior, they will either have been at uni, or they will have been working at home, working on, like, maybe they had done some freelance stuff, maybe not, just like on their portfolio, right? So they probably know what they're doing 3D wise. Yeah. So what they're trying to do with this job opening is they wanna show that that's not all you need, because there's like only 2 little points, or maybe only one, that is actually about production pipelines, workflows, and the actual thing that you're going to do. Yeah. All of the rest is about how to work effectively inside a studio, I would say. Because that's what you don't learn. You might learn it at uni a little bit if you have these group projects, but you're not going to learn it when you're working at home on your portfolio. So I think that's really interesting to see that how they really lay into that part of the application. And even the one point that's about best practices, production pipelines, and workflows, it just says develop an understanding. It doesn't mean that you already have to be the best, because then you wouldn't be a junior. It's about, you're still in a development process. And that's exactly. Really, I think, important to take note when you look at these kind of...
And it's also like... there's going to be a lot of tools that are going to be specific to the studio too. Like, not every company is going to use like Unreal Engine or Unity. Like, most of them, like especially the bigger ones, still have their own in-house engines, which work, I wouldn't say completely different, but they have their own little quirks.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's go into the qualifications now, because like they start out with just the 1 point, like good interpersonal and communication skills, just to drive all the previous things home, and saying like,
Yeah.
look, we're looking for someone with like a good team fit, like the skills that we want you to learn, like we can. That's the easy part basically. But if you're like a good
Yeah.
team fit, like that helps so much.
That's why I think it's again, it's so important to focus on that in your application as well, because like yeah, there's plenty of people around that can show you how to model quicker and how
Mm-hmm.
to texture more realistically or whatever you want to do. But if you're an asshole, you know, they're probably not going to be able to fix that. You have to be
Yeah.
you have to be a person that's nice to work with, that can handle, you know, situations well, and just communicate. And it's not just, you know, like hold stuff back and is like in their little corner and never talks to anyone, and just that's
Yep.
yeah, they're probably not going to be able to change that part about you.
Yeah, just leave your ego at the door, please. Like we have enough issues in the industry already with that, so just leave it at the door.
Yeah, I'd say
um,
so.
yeah. So let's continue on. The ability to create interesting, detailed, and visually appealing environments. I mean, most of the stuff that we're gonna read here is just already shown or discussed in your portfolio.
Yeah,
Like the ability to adapt to new processes and pipelines. That's a really important one, because the industry is changing every couple of years.
yeah,
Working knowledge of industry leading 3D modeling packages and techniques, understanding of composition and visual storytelling, knowledge of level editors. See, like they're trying to stay away from like naming specific tools.
yeah. They're very just know stuff in general, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Understanding of physically based rendering systems, that's PBR. Familiarity with data management software is desirable. That is important, the desirable part. Like
Yeah,
if you don't have it, it's fine. If you do have a little bit of understanding, just mention it, and it's it's not such a big deal, but it can give you like a one up compared to other people.
yeah. It's just some stuff that you'll have to learn eventually, and if you
Mm-hmm.
already like if you when you work at home and you've just like you know what Perforce is, or you know what I mean, like you know what some kind of what is it, GitHub,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
SVN. If you've worked with one of them, or at least you know how they work, and then mention that, because that's something that I think a lot of people don't use in their personal work, because I also don't. I don't know why I would.
Mm-hmm.
But if you at least know the basics of, okay, this is how we work collaboratively, this is the way that people can work on the same project on the same level at the same time,
Yeah.
and you can kind of show that you have that kind of knowledge, it really it makes it yeah there it's like it sets a specific bar, you know. It's like, okay, at least this guy knows the basics, so we won't have to like teach him all the way from the bottom up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also just showing that you
Are interested.
yeah, you're interested in different facets of environment art, or like just game creation in general.
Yeah,
Because I would echo the point that you made. Is like for most of the stuff I would never use Perforce, because like I have like own backups and all that stuff, but it's it's such an easy process. Like the first time you're gonna go through the process in general, it's just gonna be a couple of clicks, and then you can commit. You just have to do like some validation checks, and just make sure that the stuff that you're checking in isn't gonna break anything for someone
yeah,
else. That's a big point. But um, I would say for environment artists, this is not a big concern, because we work on the visual part of things. Like we don't actually edit any of the code in most cases.
yeah. The game's not gonna crash. You might have a floating rock, but the game's not gonna crash.
Yeah, I've seen many of floating rocks in my time. Okay, let's go back to the list. So where were we? Basic gameplay and level design knowledge is desirable. So this is already like, again, thinking outside of the box. Like having some level design knowledge is really gonna help you, especially in, well, we're looking at a Ubisoft application, right? So you know that the possibility is there that you're gonna be working on an open world game. Like
Right.
it's highly likely that you're gonna be doing that. So yeah, that's why they added the level design knowledge, so that it makes you it just helps you in your communication with like the level designers around you that you're going to be
Yeah.
working with really closely.
Also, I think I just want to say, because like I said, I applied for this, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I know who ended up getting this job, and I'm pretty sure they ended up working on the Division 2. So just because,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, which makes a lot of sense because there a lot of the set dressing is very purposeful,
Mm-hmm.
right, with the level design, because it's a cover shooter. It's very
That's true.
important
Yeah.
that you have to think about all of this.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a
I've
really
never
good
thought about
point.
this. I've never thought about it. It's interesting to look at an application like this, like with the hindsight of knowing, oh, they're looking for this.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make this game.
Yeah, but because that's the thing, right? Like you look at this application and it's almost never going to say which game you're going to be working on.
Yeah, it usually
So
won't.
you're always going in somewhat blindly. But then, yeah, like with the power of hindsight, it's really cool looking at this. Because I think Newcastle was responsible for like a big chunk of that game. I think.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So knowledge of optimization techniques. This is fairly standard. Like, yeah, you don't want to be pushing your VFX ready stuff inside of a game engine because that's not going to work. Knowledge of the video games industry, and awareness of typical video game development processes is desirable. Uh, yeah, this is sort of a weird point. If you have no knowledge of the video games industry, then why are you applying for it?
Yeah, and just knowing like what it takes to make a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, there's programmers and there's artists and there's designers, and all of them work together and they make something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
obviously not just those, but yeah, I think, and but even then they're just saying it's desirable. Just kind of know what the end product should be.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
and kind of know how to get there, and you'll be all right.
I think I've worked with a couple of people who never played a game. Like
Really?
never. But I would say, like, if you're going into the games industry, like that is gonna be like a, I don't know, 0.1% that you're gonna encounter those people.
Yeah. I'd
Uh,
ask them, what are you doing?
Why are you
not?
here?
Why don't you go somewhere else and make more money if you don't like video games?
It's so true though.
Why don't you just like do commercials or something and make heaps of money?
Yeah. Go work for a bank. Um. So now we get into the interesting part, right? Like this is relevant experience, and this is where I see a lot of people just tripping up.
Right.
Because
Even though
this
this
is,
one is actually very forgiving. I think this
yeah.
is very generous.
I was about to say the same thing because this only mentions like up to 1 year of experience in an internship or placement year in a professional game studio environment or other relevant experience. So this is usually the part where a lot of people trip up. They see like, oh, like even in this case, like if you have zero experience and you're self-taught, like this is gonna be the thing that people look at and be like, oh, well, I shouldn't apply then. Like it doesn't matter. Because they're just gonna look at this 1 year and they're gonna just immediately scrap my portfolio.
Yeah.
But
Especially with the next point, which is bachelor's degree in graphic design art or other relevant training.
yeah,
So already they're hedging, right? It doesn't have to be a bachelor. It just has to be some kind of relevant training.
yeah,
But obviously, if you have a bachelor's degree, it's easiest to prove, right?
yeah.
Like it's hard to prove other relevant training. But I guess should we let the cat out of the bag
Go for it,
about
man.
all of this? Hey, you don't have to do all of this. You don't have to have all of it. Isn't that crazy? If it says you need 2 years of experience, you don't. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking about a junior. Of course, as a senior, you can't apply as a senior with no experience.
Yeah.
But if it says junior 2 years of experience or like one ship AAA title or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's another big one. That's not even in this one.
Yeah, it's a guideline.
Yeah.
It's if you can show that you have the amount of experience or the amount of skill that someone would have that has already been in the industry for 2 years. If you can stand out enough and be like, hey, look at me. I might not have this experience, but I'm just amazing at modeling stuff. I'm just the best sculptor you've ever seen. Then you can often like go around this. I would look at this kind of thing as a checklist. I would look at this whole application as a checklist.
Mm-hmm.
And then be like, okay, this is green. I have this. I have this. I don't have this. This is red. I have this. This is green. And if it's like around 85% green, I'd say give it a shot.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, I think that is such a big tripping point for a lot of people. I would say the same thing. You have to be really honest with yourself and go through this list and say like,
yes,
okay, like the Perforce stuff and all that. It's like, do I have familiarity with it? No. Okay, just scratch that off the list. But like those points aren't really that relevant. But like say looking at the bigger things, it's like the maybe your ability to adapt to new processes and pipelines. You're not good at it. Like you just have to be really honest about that and be like, look, maybe it's something that I can improve on, but you don't have to be that stereotypical person that says like, oh yeah, I'm good at adapting. And then once they ask you, like you're like, oh, but do I need to? Like, oh no, it becomes really hesitant because then you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot on the job itself.
Yeah. Like you said, I think it's so important to be honest with yourself because otherwise you're just gonna make it harder.
Yeah.
Because then you'll do this the checklist that I was just talking about, and you put everything to green, and then you apply for everything, and then you realize that you're not actually ready for any of those jobs.
Yeah, I feel I made a note of that specifically because I feel like a lot of people they get overconfident with their portfolio,
Or the other way around, but usually it's
Yeah.
overconfident. Yeah.
Well, I wonder. In my case, I've seen more people that are not confident enough about their portfolio, but that is way easier to fix than a person that is overconfident. Because like
Yeah.
say you have a person that doesn't really have a good portfolio at the moment, but like he or she is applying on every job, and they keep being demotivated all the time. There has to be a point where you just have to say like, look, I think you need to take a step back, and I think you need to really improve the work that you're doing because I don't think you're ready for the industry yet. But then I always think, who am I to say? Like there might be like another company out there that's looking for maybe exactly that style that he or she is making, or like maybe they're looking to take on like a really inexperienced person and like taking through like all the ropes specifically for their kind of style that they want to do. I don't know.
True. Yeah, it's that it's true. I think so. What I think really helped me was realizing that. So I was at my uni and I was always like man, I don't want to sound braggy or anything.
Oh
but it
god,
was
here
like,
we go.
Yeah. But it was like, I was helping people that were like in a higher semester than me with like substance, because I had already been like, I was like the substance guy, because I got into it really quickly and I was like, I love this is really cool, this is the best.
Yeah.
So I really got into it, and then people started noticing. And yeah, I think there's always like a couple people per year in a class that other people are, oh yeah, this guy is like, he's really good. he can do this, he can do that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the guy that everyone looks up to not look, yeah, but like everyone is respects for their artistic talent. There's definitely a couple of guys like that at my uni as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then at some point I realized I'm not good enough until I'm good enough to get a job. You know what I mean? Like getting all this praise from people at my uni is nice,
Yeah.
but it's not enough until it's enough to convince somebody that I'm ready to get a job.
Yeah,
You know what I
there
mean?
is some bias involved as well. Like I always thinking about the example that you show off your drawings to your mom.
Yeah.
Like she,
Right.
well, if she's like a stereotypical mom, she's not gonna say like, "Oh, you suck, try again." She's gonna be
Right.
like, "Oh, that's really nice. Like it's really nice that you draw that in that way," and that's it. Like it's encouragement because
That's the worst. That's the worst. Thing I've ever heard. The worst compliment I've heard. Oh, that's nice that you draw that in that way.
yeah, I see. I'm not cut out to be a good mom. No, you get what I mean, right? Like you're going to your family, and then you're always gonna get like compliments or like encouragement to do
Yeah.
to keep on doing it. Like
Yeah.
whereas, yeah, it can cloud your vision of the way you see your stuff for yourself.
Exactly, because then it can mean that you are like, you think, oh, I'm at the top of my class. I
Mhm.
don't, I'm already done.
Yeah.
I don't need to learn any of this, and it can get you in this headspace of being so confident that you then aren't as likely to be open to change and be open to learn new things,
Mhm.
which I think is really dangerous. I think you never want to be so confident that you feel like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to learn this.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a really dangerous place to be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like say you go through uni like 3 or 4 years and you come out of uni and be like, "Damn, I'm probably the best of my class."
Right.
And then you go into the job market and you can't find a job. Like
And that's,
how big of an impact is that going to have on your what you call it, ego or like mental state or whatever?
yeah.
Like it's
And
gonna
that's-
it's gonna shake you, man.
Yeah, that happened to a lot of people from my uni, I would say, that
Mhm.
they were the top of their class, and then they went out into the real world, and they just realized that in this ecosystem it's not enough.
Yeah, it's super competitive, right?
It's
Because
there's always someone better than you. There's always some guy that has just been doing it for half a year and he's already 3 times better than you.
yeah.
But you'll also have to realize that that's part of how it works. So
Mhm.
that's why you should. I don't know. You shouldn't be depressed by that. I feel like
Yeah.
you should be. You should take that and be like, wow, if this guy can do it, and I already have all this knowledge, so it should be really easy for me to get there. And you also shouldn't be demotivated if it doesn't work out instantly for you and you do take a little time. But just like stay, do your thing. Don't think about the other people. Just think about what level you want to reach
Mhm.
and how you want to get there. And that's what I did. I was like, okay, I want to be good, and I want to look at an application and be confident that I can do all the things that they want from me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, and it works in both ways as well. Like if you're how should I explain this? Like it's first of all, again, you just have to be really honest to yourself, but it can work in a way where you're looking at ArtStation, for example. And you look at the students that are getting jobs right now. You're only looking at the best of the best, probably.
yeah,
Let me send you a link. I'll post it in the show notes as well. Like it's a Serene Temple by Yinuo Chen. She's like a student, but if you look at that work, like that is, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like that is such a high bar being set by students these days.
I mean, there's a student or an intern now that we work with,
Yeah.
Stijn,
Yep.
who his little like Italy little village, whatever. I don't know what the name is, but the little alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was nice, right? And
Oh
it's
my god!
well, the thing
It's
is,
so
like, I
good.
wanna be really open about this, and um, I was responsible for like I think I was a part of that, like the whole recruitment process. And it's
Oh,
like I think I found it or someone else found it and just posted it in like a channel, and everyone was like, "Oh damn, yep, we need to get this guy on." Like, we didn't even look at the other stuff that he had on his portfolio. That was like, yeah, this is nice. Like
yeah,
we need to at least have a chat with him.
exactly.
And I mean, it can happen in a flash. Like it's just like um yeah, just looking at that work and being like, damn, that's impressive. Okay, let's talk to this guy.
It's yeah, that scene is so good. It's
Hmm.
just yeah, and
Well,
that's
but
the thing.
that's
Sometimes that's all it takes.
yeah.
It's just one good. Like you just need to keep doing, keep doing. Maybe the stuff you do is like okay, it's pretty good, this and that, but
Hmm.
then you you put all the stuff you learn in all of your other projects together, and you put it into one really good project like this one,
Yeah.
and then you'll be able to find a job just with that because you can show. Like usually you would have different portfolio pieces to show, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But if you can just show everything you can do in one scene, that's gonna that's gonna be very impressive for everyone who looks at it and tries to, it might be thinking about hiring you.
Hmm. Hmm. For sure. And in the case of Stan specifically, like he's currently a junior at our company. So he did like an internship for a couple of months, and then we offered him like a junior contract. Um, but it would be interesting to talk to him because he did go to like a university, but then I
Yeah,
think at some point he realized that he wasn't getting like where he wanted to be because that scene that he made was made with like a mentorship from
yeah.
I don't know, was it Brian Ryan Beno, or was it the Mentorship Coalition? I think it was the Mentorship Coalition.
Mentorship of Christopher Radsby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean the same. Actually, funny. I didn't even know that part. Yeah, it was the same for me, right? I had my uni. I was not satisfied with it, and then I did a mentorship, and I was like, this is 1,000 times better.
hmm, yeah. It's really interesting when you get to that point and be like, again, just being really brutally honest with yourself and being like, look, this university, like, it's not cutting it for me,
No,
and just
yeah,
be like, okay, I need to look for another option. Like there's some people in the community that didn't go to university and it just paid for like CGMA courses and all that, and now they're creating killer work.
that's when people ask me now how to get in the industry. That's what I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Do mentorships. Don't spend the money on university. Spend the money on some software and some mentorships, and
Mm-hmm.
just like first get the basics right, then do like 3 mentorships, and then you'll have 3 portfolio pieces. Or maybe if you don't like the first one, then you have 2 still, and
Yeah, yeah,
then you can do one without a mentorship, and you'll have some amazing stuff that you can put in your portfolio,
yeah.
and you're gonna impress a lot of people.
I would say that that is the important part. Get the basics right. Like you need to
Yeah,
go through like, I don't know, 6 months. It depends on how quick you work, right? But I'm just gonna throw some random number out there, like 6 months to a year, struggling with like the complete pipeline, getting to grips with all the software that you need, and then jumping into a mentorship that can really allow you to make like the most use of what you did before. Because if you're just starting out and you're just gonna go straight into a mentorship, that's not gonna work.
yeah,
Like because there's so many, especially in 3D. Like there's so many skills that you need to learn, so many programs that intertwine with each other.
hmm,
That it's really, yeah, it's a lot to get to grips to.
definitely.
But yeah, man, I mean, I'm obviously biased. Like I'm doing mentorships at the moment, but like why would you go to a school, get drowned out by 29 other people in your class or whatever, how many there are, when you can just pay less amount of money, get one-on-one training for like an hour a week, and then just really focus on the thing you want to do.
Also, in my case, and I think it's that way for a lot of people. It's not just that you're getting more like personalized training; it's also that the training is 1,000 times better.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people at my university that taught me, they weren't in the industry, but maybe not at the kind of companies that I would have liked to work in.
Yeah,
and they couldn't show me the stuff that I wanted to work in. And I did a mentorship with someone that also worked at Ubisoft. So it was like, they know exactly the kind of stuff that I want to work on. They can teach me how to do this. And it's yeah, that's why. Also, maybe your university is better than mine was, but in general, I would advise to just do mentorships.
Yeah.
Like, what was it for me? 200 euros for a month, where I would have like a call a week, plus I could just write to him every like pretty much any time and be like, hey, I'm thinking about like making this. How would you would you do this? And then he would be like, oh, you could do it with a decal, you could do it with a vertex paint, you could do a unique texture, but then this is the pros and cons of each of those ways to do it. So, all that.
Yeah, man. Like, this is like the golden age of opportunity when it comes to just teaching yourself stuff.
Yeah.
It can be a little daunting, like knowing what to pick, but because I think it's also like in the pricing of things, right? Like I went to university, and my parents pay for it, but it was like 1,000 a month, 1,000 a year. So
what? That's so cheap.
Yeah, it's super cheap, and it's like a really competitive school as well. Like
Right.
the stuff that's coming out of this school, like the thing that I just showed you, is from a student at that school.
Right.
So like they're churning out like I would say overall the best students that I've seen, or whenever I'm clicking on like an interesting piece and it's from a student, like it's highly likely that it's from that school. Like there's just no way around it. But yeah, I had a really good education there. So I never had to do like mentorships or like other stuff than that. But
that's great.
But if you're living in the UK and you have to pay like what is it, like 10K a year, like I would really seriously think about just getting a mentorship. Like try to get the basics right and do a mentorship.
Yeah. Just all that stuff. Do tutorials. Then like that's what I would do. Start out with tutorials. Then when you're confident in like the main basic stuff, then start doing start with mentorships, and then do one on your own.
Yeah, I think there's more to it than that. So I think we need to write that down and make like the next podcast episode about it or something, and just go really into the details of because it's not black and white, right? Like, there's people that really need that strict
structure,
day-to-day structure. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's true. Some people respond better to that than to other things. There's some people that can't just sit at home and do mentorships.
Yeah, exactly. So we should definitely talk about that on the next episode, because we still need to do a Patreon question as well, and we're already running to an hour.
All right, yeah, let's do a quick one.
Yeah. So this is an old school one. I think this was the first one that got asked by people in the community, and it's one
we haven't answered it yet.
No, because I keep shuffling this stuff randomly.
Oh.
So
right.
this is a question from OVA, and he asked like, how would you keep in contact with your other industry professionals throughout the months and years? Do you want to go ahead?
So I obviously haven't been in the industry for that long. 2.5, 3 years, whatever. And so for me, I've only worked at 2 bigger companies, right? I did like an internship before that, but and from that first company, I have a lot of friends that are either still at that company or they're all over the world. And there's definitely some that I never speak to anymore, even if they were friends, just because everyone has got their own stuff going on,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad. It would be great to keep in touch with everyone, but yeah, everyone's got work, everyone's got their own friends in the new place, they've got other people, all that stuff. So it's really hard sometimes. But
So what do you use for that? Like
what I use, Discord, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Discord or like WhatsApp, but usually I'd say Discord. And then I have some people that are like really good friends, that I would like maybe every couple of months I would have like like an hour or two long call with them on Discord and just discuss what's going on.
Yeah.
Discuss how they're doing, how whatever's going on in the world, like COVID or whatever. And then just catch up. And it was really nice because probably my I don't know, my best friend or one of my best friends from that I met in Spain, he moved to Prague, and he was just in Berlin for a day. A couple of weeks ago. And we just met up. We had some food, and we just had a beer, and it was like it was so nice. So I think it's, if you have that, if you have friends that are really close to you from other companies, then it's easy, because it's it's natural that you want to like keep in touch just with any other friend that maybe moved away or stuff like that. But then there's always, unfortunately, going to be people that you just never talk to again.
Yeah.
Or not, or maybe in a couple of years you'll talk to them again, because maybe you'll work together with them in another company or whatever it might be. But yeah, unfortunately, it's really hard to keep up with everyone, right?
Yeah, I'm personally really bad at that. Like, I barely talk to people online. Like, it's been definitely going up with like the whole community aspect of it. So that's where I try to, like, if I talk to other people, it's usually through Discord, because I like to focus everything in that. I still talk to some people on WhatsApp, but that's like those are not even because this is specifically focused on other industry professionals. Like
Right.
Those are people outside of the industry that I've known for like 15 years or whatever. But it's not like we do like a weekly update. It's more like every couple of months, or like maybe every once a year. It's like, hey, it's great to hear from you again. Because
a lot of the time it's something like, oh, I saw that your game was announced. What's up, dude?
Yeah.
What's going on? How do you feel?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's another thing that we noticed. Because when we used to work together, this guy was talking about, we would just sit at lunch, talk about our work, what's going on, what was annoying us, this and that, and that, right? But now we were sitting there with our beers, and we were like, so how's work going? And he's like, I can't really talk about it. And he's like, how's your work going? I can't really talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't talk about anything anymore. That's the thing, too.
Yeah.
Because everything's under freaking
Yeah,
NDA,
that's so weird. Like, I just gotta say, like, in general, I'm so bad with just talking online to people. So what I usually did is because like I worked at Frontier Developments before in Cambridge, they have like a beer festival every year. And it's in May. So every year in May, we used to go to that beer festival. That's like a couple of days, and we would just go there every night and like talk to all the people that I worked with before, and like all the friends.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's probably the best way to get together. Just like face to face, like you said, like grab a beer together, talk about stuff. Obviously not games, because everything's fucking NDA now, but
yeah, if you have the opportunity to meet face to face, it's so much better, because you'll just, I don't know, a lot of the time, especially with people that aren't like, that weren't close friends, like just like, people that you really like, but now that you live apart, you don't have that much to do with them anymore.
Yeah.
It can be very like,
I've had really
you don't
long,
know what to talk about online.
Yeah. I've had really long talks with people that that I barely used to talk to at Frontier. Like it was
Right.
more like it's all professional, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, I need this. Like how can I do this? Blah blah blah. But now when we go to the beer festival, it's like, oh, it's nice to see you again. Like how are you doing? And then just talking about like a whole bunch of random stuff. It's yeah, it's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Like I wonder with this question specifically is the differences between Europe and America. Because like the whole how would you say, like the whole community aspect seems to be like a way bigger deal in America in general, because like they still talk about like networking and like in like the job that you get is probably through like your network, which it doesn't really feel that way in Europe. Like it can be that way, but like
Yeah.
I've never gotten like a job through someone else, so I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like different.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, there was one time when a friend asked me, but I was like, I don't know. I'm kind of happy here, you know. So
Yeah,
I'd
thanks.
say it definitely happens,
Mhm.
but it might not be as prominent maybe as in the US.
Yeah,
I never thought about that.
yeah. I wonder. Yeah, that's not a question that we can answer anyway. So
Yeah, I
maybe
don't think so.
maybe at some point.
Right.
All right, cool. So that was a nice and quick question.
Cool.
So
Yeah, perfect.
yeah, because it's an hour and 5. I think this is our longest episode yet.
It's gotta be. I mean, it's an important topic, right? Applications, stuff like that. I think a lot of people are. I think that's what a lot of people that are in these kinds of communities are interested in, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
that's what the phase of life that they're in is. They're trying to get into the industry, and
Hmm.
it can be. There is a lot of information on it out there, but a lot of it can be very confusing. I would feel like, and I hope that we didn't make it confusing. We made it pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Like if we were to recap this, it's probably the biggest point is being honest with yourself,
Yeah.
and then just keep trying. Like even if you look at an application and you see like again like the 2-year barrier or like one ship title, like if you have a good portfolio and you're really honest about that, again, like just try it. Just
Yeah.
just give it a shot. Like you might be surprised by the results of those things.
True.
All right. So that's going to do it for episode 15 of the podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. And yeah,
Thanks, guys.
thanks for coming on, Will.
Thanks for having me again.
See ya.
See ya.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. If you did, then you can check out the playlist on the right for more episodes, and don't forget to like, subscribe, or share it with friends. If you're an environment artist trying to break into the industry, or just looking to grow your skills, you can find a ton more resources like weekly tips, blog posts, and more on beyondextend.com. But that's going to do it from our side. Thanks so much for joining us, and a shout out to all of our Patreon supporters who made this possible.